How are all of you lovely people doing today? My name is John, and welcome to the second season of the zombie storyline Q&A. This has been something that has been in the works for a long time now, and also will continue to be in the works. I wanted to bring back the zombie storyline Q&A, but I wanted to do it differently. I had used the same format for quite a while, and I was kind of getting bored with it. And I had all these new ideas for ways to make it better, and I tried a bunch of different test shots and test episodes of the zombie storyline Q&A, and I was just never happy with it. So this is going to evolve over the first few episodes. You'll notice in this episode that I actually have a new set of animations that I had created for this series, so they're going to be incorporated into this, and the format of this series will also change a little bit over the course of these first few episodes. I'd like to incorporate a face cam. I'd also like to incorporate live graphics to the side of myself, and hopefully this series will be really cool. Over time, though, I'm going to ask that you guys bear with it as I continue to update it. I had a whole thing planned for today, and it ended up just falling apart, but I'm tired of waiting. I've been meaning to do this for a month now, and it keeps falling apart, but I'm just going to record it with audio today, so I hope you enjoy. I'd also like to make a quick announcement that right now I am running a holiday Thanksgiving Black Friday sale right now. If you want, a link is in the description. You can get your hands on my Zombie Chronicles poster pack. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last time that I'm ever selling this pack. They're most likely going to be retired after this. So if you'd like to get your hands on them, all 8 posters, a link is in the description. In addition to that, I'm also selling a very special limited signed version of this in which I sign each one. If you'd like to get your hands on that, that's also found in a link in the description. This is only going to be available for a few days, and I promise all domestic orders will reach you before Christmas, so if you'd like this to be some sort of Christmas gift, you can also do that. A link is down in the description. Anyway, let's jump into the zombie storyline Q&A. Today, we're going to kick things off with a question from Dean Thomas, who asks, regarding the ending to Blood of the Dead, this is possibly BS, but while watching the video about it, I noticed that there are only 6, not 8 blood vials smashed on the floor. It seems to emphasize Nick looking at his blood vials, ... I know this isn't a question, but this has been something that's been thrown to me so many times on Twitter that I felt as though I should address it. I've seen it in my comments, I've seen it thrown to me on Twitter. People want to know, what's the deal with Nikolai looking at the blood vials, and also, why are some blood vials broken? Why are some not broken? Are there missing blood vials? What's going on here? Well, first off, post-Revelations Richtofen takes the blood vials from Richtofen and explains that there's no more need for an insurance plan. As a result, there's no more need for the blood vials. The cycle is broken, and it was the blood vials that was keeping them in that cycle. Now, if you look at the blood vials on the ground, you'll notice that there are actually 8 blood vials. There are 2 in the back, 2 in the mid-range, and then there are 4 in the front of this scene. It's kind of hard to see the 4 because they're piled on top of each other, but there are 2, and then there are 2 more behind them. So all 8 blood vials are present in this scene, and when Nikolai looks at those blood vials, he does end up dropping them. The blood vials that Nikolai was looking at are most likely those broken blood vials closest to the portals, because he stands right before the portals, he looks at his blood vials, and then we don't see what happens, but you'll notice that the 2 blood vials closest to the portal are broken, so Nikolai most likely did break them. Now, some people have pointed out that the blood vials still have blood in them and they're lying on the ground for anybody to take. Will this be a future plot point? I don't think so. Now, sure, the blood has powers and they do have properties. They have ether in them, which is allowing them to survive, and it also allows them to exist from closed off dimensions. They keep those dimensions alive in a sense, but I just don't think it'll matter. I feel like this was Treyarch's way of saying we're done with the blood vials. We've used that plot point, and we're just going to leave them here in this dimension that is dying out and will eventually be destroyed, because it seems as though this is the end of the Alcatraz dimension, and who's really left to take those blood vials? The dimension's being closed off, the warden's gone, the Shadow Man doesn't appear to be there, Richtofen's dead. I guess the blood vials will just sit there. I don't really see them ever coming back. We're next going to be taking on a question from HBK970 official, who asks, where is Kennedy, Castro, and Nixon in Classified? Well, let's first establish that Classified appears to be in a fracture. Something about Classified isn't right. Most notably when our characters go to Area 51 and it's all messed up. It's also not in the original timeline, so this feels like a world separate from the world that we have in 5. Now, it hasn't been confirmed, but that just to me seems the way it is. Also, how could there be a breakout at the Pentagon and then it gets all cleaned up for the meeting? So I think this is in a fractured universe. But the 5 crew should still exist in this universe, and well, where are they? We know that McNamara is in his office actually preparing for the meeting. This is found in an Easter egg when you go and knock on the door that he's in.
Whatever it is, it can wait. I specifically requested that I not be disturbed under any circumstances. This meeting is of paramount importance, and I must ensure every detail is planned to perfection. I'm sorry. Did I not make myself crystal clear? This meeting will literally, and I mean literally, change the course of history.
We can also assume that Kennedy is most likely at the White House. Castro's probably in Cuba, and well, Nixon, he could be anywhere. Lord knows where Nixon is. It makes sense though that McNamara is the only one in the Pentagon. After all, he is the Secretary of Defense, and we learn from one of the radios that he's actually the person organizing this meeting, and the purpose of their meeting is to prepare themselves for the impending threat that is Samantha.
Personal log, September 3rd, 1963. The discussion with McNamara was a resounding success. His plans for it are bigger than I ever thought possible. Fools. It was so easy. All those hawks over there think about is war. I offered them a morsel, a nugget, and had the meeting out of the palm of my hand. Yeah, well, good riddance. They'll get their war, and I'll get my riches. They want to destroy this Samantha? It's so narrow-minded. Why destroy her when we can take her power and harness it for ourselves? With the amount of element 115 buried down there, just imagine what we could do. We could mold the earth anew, create it in our image. A toast. Here's to Dr. Schuster for gifting me this opportunity. When we get the excavator up and running at the test site, I'll be sure to get him access. And here's to Broken Arrow. And to opening new worlds.
The next question comes from Jacob Funky, who asks, how does Monty not know they're in a loop? Well, we don't know whether or not Monty knows about the loop, but at the end of the day, it also doesn't matter. Monty in Revelations sends us back in time, and this creates the cycle. You go from the Great War to Origins to Black Ops 3 and then back again. That's how the cycle works. Monty, though, he doesn't send himself back in time. Only the crew goes back in time. And he, in a sense, is not a part of the cycle. The rest of the crew is in the cycle. So he can go on living in his perfect world. So he sends the characters back in time. They go on to repeat the cycle, but Monty doesn't go back in time. Monty wins, is out of the cycle, and continues to live on in his perfect world. So whether or not Monty knows that there's a loop is irrelevant. I guess he's aware of the concept of the loop and probably could think to himself, well, if I sent them back in time, they're stuck in a loop. But for the most part, Monty himself doesn't care because he's outside the loop. Today's episode is going to end with a question from I'm Mr. Sprinkles, who asks, John, why are people saying that Richtofen is dead when only that one version of himself died? It's not like there was even Richtofen from Black Ops 3 anyway, right? Or am I just dumb? No, Mr. Sprinkles, you're not dumb, because in a way, it also doesn't matter that Richtofen died. There are many different Richtofens. In fact, you can go and watch the video in which I chronicle every Richtofen from every zombie map ever. and it's an extensive list that gets really convoluted. I think there's like something like 13 or 14 different Richtophens, arguably. And the key word there is arguably, because some might even be the same Richthofen. In fact, Nikolai even once remarked that he has killed many different Richtophens. So this isn't the first time that a Richthofen has died. In fact, we saw a Richthofen kill another Richthofen. Now, he did say a part of himself died a little when he killed that Richthofen, and it may be that he actually died a little bit inside, or he metaphorically died a little bit inside. We don't know which is actually the case. Regardless, you're not wrong. Richthofen has died a lot, and one Richthofen's death doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. This Richtofen's death does have a little bit of significance, though. One, his death is what allows them to escape the cycle. This Richthofen in particular had traveled through the ether so often that he had an incredible amount of ether in his blood. So much so that there was a lot of power that could potentially be tapped. So this Richthofen is significant in that sense, but he's also the Black Ops 3 Richthofen. So that Richthofen that we had been playing as all through Black Ops 3, the one that could walk a path that no other could walk, he himself, that carried himself with an aura of importance, died. And that's significant in a way, because he always spoke about how it has to be him to set things right, when in reality, he had to sacrifice himself to allow others to set things right. So that's why this Richtofen's death is important. It's a stark contrast from the way he spoke about himself in Black Ops 3, in which he is the most important thing to solving everything. And it also, in a way, gets undercut, because then in the classified ending, which takes place directly after the Blood of the Dead ending, he's just replaced by another Richthofen. Now, who that Richthofen is, we don't know 100% for sure, but I assume it's just the post-Revelations Richthofen that we see in the Blood of the Dead ending. He just changes out of his Great War tunic and into his regular outfit. That's most likely what went on there. Anyway, though, that's going to wrap things up for this episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. Be sure, though, to leave your questions down below, and you may be featured in the next episode. Also, if you want to get your hands on the Zombie Chronicles poster pack, a link is in the description. They're only going to be available for a few days. This is like a Thanksgiving, beginning of the Christmas season sale, so if you want to get your hands on them, go ahead, check them out. They're probably not going to be available again. A link is down below. I'm going to go, though. Have a wonderful day. Leave your questions down below, and bye.